Are we good to go?
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay, so I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Snohomish and Tlashtalian nations. We're starting the committee of the whole at 2:54 p.m. Agenda item number 1 is a recommendation.
That the agenda of this meeting be approved.
Thank you, Ian.
Second.
Thank you, Rick. Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, we'll accept that. Now we got a couple sets of minutes there as well.
That the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on December 8th, 2021 be adopted.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Ian. Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, we'll accept. There's one more set there.
That the minutes of the financial committee meeting held on December 8th, 2021 be adopted.
Second it.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Ian. Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, we'll accept those. I don't believe there are any trustee items. I haven't seen any brought forward. No presentations today. So that brings us to agenda item 5, information items. Danielle, I'll let you run with that one if there are any changes.
Thanks, Rebecca. I just wanted to give everybody a reminder that this Saturday is January 15th is a due date for the financial disclosure statement. So Lena had emailed you, I think, last week or something like that. So this is just a reminder for those of you that haven't sent it in yet. And thank you to those of you that have. So yeah, the due date for that's this Saturday. Just wanted to let everybody know, you may have noticed, but a lot of the upcoming events have been moved to online due to COVID. So I can just go through a few different things here. So the BCPC AGM has moved online. That's January 27th and 28th. We also made an executive decision to move the February 9th board meeting online. And the reason for that is it's really hard for us to book a venue because of the COVID uncertainty. And so basically some of the venues that we contacted, they were like, well, you need to book it now and pay for it. And then you have to give us like notice if you need a cancellation and we'd have to pay for it and everything. So we just decided just to forego having in person for the next February board meeting. And then right now we currently we have to do for February 9th for the next board meeting, we currently have like we had scheduled the Whistler custodian recognition dinner to be that same day. So we'll have to talk internally about different options. We haven't got there yet, but just a heads up, we'll probably have to think about, we haven't decided what we're going to do with that, but we will start looking at that next.
Danielle,
yep, sorry, go ahead.
Before we move on, the January 21st, we have the district implementation day, and I have it on my calendar. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, Paul, I don't know if you want to speak to that or you're okay if I am, but so that's also been moved to online, Rebecca, and we've split, you know, into different groups about who's doing what. So we sort of thought we didn't like before when it was in person, we used to have a trustee who would do opening remarks and whatnot. And Paul, maybe you can add to that. I don't know, but I think we decided it would be difficult because we have multiple groups doing online things that day to have a trustee attend. But I don't know, Paul, did I miss something there?
No, thanks for that, Danielle. So what's happening is in the morning, each of the schools have planned sort of their own activities. So first thing in the morning, there's really no opportunity or time where everybody's together online. Like each site is sort of on their own, but there is an opportunity in the afternoon. So what we've done is we have Monique Grace Smith, who is the author of Ripples of Resiliency. I'm sure you're all familiar with her work, and we've adopted the 4 blankets in our district. She's providing a virtual workshop for the afternoon. Normally this is a full day. but she's condensing it into 2 hours because she wasn't available in the morning for us on that day. So we were fortunate enough to get her for the 2 hours in the afternoon. So that is an opportunity to address everyone. So that would be right around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Rebecca. But that's just been kind of an unfolding. Things have changed with the COVID requirements. So if you would like to come and do a welcome, that would be a good time to do it, because then we have everybody all together on that one Zoom meeting.
Okay, well, I'm good either way. If you want to just maybe we can connect later, Paul, and talk about it.
Sure.
So if you'd like, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything is where I'm at with my
Right.
constant calendar issues.
Right.
Yeah, and we can look at different options too, like Rebecca, if that time doesn't work for you, you could like record a message or something too. Like it's totally, there's lots of, be flexible with that, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get.
Yeah,
Paul
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So why don't we talk about this offline, and I have no problem doing a welcome.
Awesome, that's great. Okay, what else do we have for items there? So the BCSTA has also moved online. That's the BCSTA Provincial Council. And we haven't yet decided what we're doing for the schedule, the February 16th learning plans. So we still have to have a discussion internally about what we're going to do with that. But right now they are scheduled for February 16th. But Rebecca, we did want to ask you if you would be, like, right now, we haven't figured everything out, but if we do go ahead with that day, would you feel comfortable taking over Dave Walden's plans that he's assigned to? Because right now it looks like you're free for the time. I think it was for the afternoon, the school learning plan that he was going to be attending. February 16th.
I'm already, looks like I'm at Myrtle Phillip.
Yeah, and this
Okay.
the afternoon ones with Spring Creek. So if we are doing in person, you would just be staying in Whistler.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, or it might be online. We don't know yet. So
Yeah.
okay.
No, as long as I've sometimes been booked out and not given enough time to travel between schools. Like, especially if you schedule me Pemberton and Blackwater Creek, it's like, okay, well, you give me 15 minutes, it's a 45-minute drive. So so as long as I have time, then I have no problem taking on more that day.
And I think almost everybody's scheduled to attend some that day. So we'll keep you all posted on what the plan is for that. We haven't figured it out yet, but we'll discuss that next week at our senior management meetings. So
Oh, but I see our partner group meeting is on that day for Zoom.
that's correct. So that one is going to be Zoom that evening.
Perfect. SSTA, professional development. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, therefore, this means that I would need to be somewhere where, if I'm in a school in the afternoon, I'll have to probably stay at that school to Zoom into these other meetings. Because from Whistler to my house the other day, it took me an hour and 40 minutes to get to
Okay.
the village. So just things to consider.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk it over. That's something good to, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Rebecca, I think the expectation is that you'll use your motorbike and just get there in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, especially on the ice. It's awesome.
Yes.
Well, it took so long to get to Whistler on Monday. I missed the bus. My daughter missed the bus, so I ended up having to drive her all the way to Vancouver that afternoon. It was wonderful.
Okay, so I think, thanks, Rebecca. I think that's it on the trustee upcoming events that I just wanted to go over for now. Are you okay if I move along to the next item? Budget? Okay, great. So we decided not to have a finance committee meeting today. And I apologize in advance. So we don't have the budget, the first version ready yet because of the very steep learning curve here with the significant staff turnover here in the finance area. So I apologize, we're gonna have to do the 3 readings of the amended annual budget at the next finance meeting in February. I know it's not ideal, but given the circumstances, we have to, we just don't have the budget information ready. So there's a couple options. We do have to do a motion to have all 3 readings done in one day. So we could do a reading today, a motion today for that, or we could do a motion in February. So we have a motion prepared, so it's up to you if you want to wait till the February board meeting when we are doing it, which is typically what we've done in the past, or we could do one today because we do have it ready.
So we have 10 minutes left on this agenda, and if we can do it in the next one, then maybe that would be the most efficient.
I'm okay with that, if everyone else is okay with that.
Any objections? Okay, there we go.
Great.
So we'll do that expect that at our next meeting. Next up we have, was that it for you, Danielle?
Yeah, for now.
So next up we have discussion items. We have student trustees, and this was a request from Celeste. Did you want to speak to this?
I think Danielle had brought this up. I was a little surprised to see my name there, but I did some reading just in case anybody wanted me to say something about it. What I will say quickly is that on the BCSTA Hub, there is some good information, and I just copied and pasted it into a document that I can send via email. There's different ways that you can engage students. One is through representative advisory councils of students. So I think I'll just circulate the information. I think this is stuff that we can be thinking about. There's a lot of really engaged students in this district, so I think that there is an opportunity to bring them in, whether that looks like a model where it's a student trustee or a student representative advisory council. I think we just need to give it some thought, and I think staff needs to give it some thought what that would look like, how it would work, and how much time everyone has right now, given that we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I don't know if you have anything else more to say, Danielle.
So this
No,
came.
I don't have anything.
this-
Sorry, go ahead.
This came up on agenda prep and had your name beside, and I'm actually interested in it as well. So we already have the student advisory councils, and they participate already in our partner group meetings. And then any type other, they're considered a partner group. So they're always, the council's always included. But there are student trustees, and I think, is it Sunshine Coast has a representative. And there are a couple other districts as well who have met them at Academy. And they've actually had I think a panel at one point at Academy. So Danielle, are you able to enlighten us a little more?
Yeah, so we did at the BC Trustees Academy, we did get to meet the student trustee from South Coast branch, so that was nice. So that's all really that was brought up at the last board meeting. And then we just had, I don't know if you recall, Celeste, but you did email me saying, oh, this is something of interest to you. So, and you asked for it to be put on the agenda, but that seems like so long ago now. So maybe that was forgotten, but we did bring it up at agenda setting and then, well, we could open it up for discussion if anybody wants to discuss it at all. So if we did go the route of doing a student trustee, they would have to go with the election with the rest of the trustee, they'd have to be elected. And as you said, Rebecca, we do have student representation already. So I'm not sure if we want to go and do any more work around that or not, but I'm happy to listen to anyone else's opinion on that.
Danielle, I think let me send you the information that I found today, because I don't think it would look like that. It wouldn't be an additional 8th trustee or something like that. Let me just circulate the information. There's in Victoria, the way that their advisory councils look, they have students from the different high schools within the district sort of getting together. I think what it looks like now is that it's students from a given school kind of congregate and talk to each other. But whether Pemberton is talking to Squamish, maybe that's not happening. I'm not entirely sure. So I think let's just do some reading, give this some thought, and put it on an agenda for a future.
It is happening district-wide as well, as in within the schools. And that's been going on for a few years now. Plus, there's also the Aboriginal Student Council. That is district-wide as well. Or the Indigenous, I should say. So maybe we can just leave it at that then. Celeste, you can forward information on to Danielle on what it looks like and in other districts. And we can maybe see if we want to pursue this further.
That sounds great.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you. I'm just paying attention to the time here. So we have our board ed sessions, IEP process, inclusion, experiential learning, and we have Danielle and Phil. Is Phil in?
No, he's not, but that's okay. I can speak to it. So we just wanted to, we do have it all scheduled in our calendars, and we just wanted to have a discussion with the board to ask them a little bit more specific, or to ask them a little bit more about the specifics they want discussed and how, like, you know, kind of, we just want to hash out what their expectations are for that session, basically. So some questions we have are like, how long would we want the session to be? Do we want it online? It sounds like online is the way we're moving to. This is so far it's scheduled for January 26th. And we just want to know, you know, what is your expectation about what you would like discussed or you know, talked about, trained on for that session? Chris, did you want to add anything to that, or did I cover everything?
Yeah, just real briefly, it was just around clarity, because I think I had it clear in my mind. And then when we brought the topic up with Phil, who was, you know, wants to do a great job, he was just like, well, I'm not really sure what they're asking. And I think there might have been a conflation between some of these items together. I know, again, Paul had brought members of the ILT together for a session earlier, who did do a piece about experiential learning. So my understanding was, and again, feel free to let me know otherwise, that an education system on the IEP process would be super helpful. I think inclusion, that's a huge topic, and obviously that could be a whole day and then some. And we're, you know, as you know, we're working with DPAC Inclusion Committee right now on a number of items. So we just wanted to get some clarity for Phil, so he knows what to prepare. And I made an assumption, and again, if I'm wrong, forgive me, that it was mainly around the IEP and the process.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, and what Chris is describing is my understanding of what it was.
Is there are there any objections to proceeding like that? Okay, so are we good?
I just sort of want to just check in, would just like a couple hours explaining that process, would that be okay? Or an hour and a half or something like that? Like, what is everyone thinking? They don't like a whole day thing, right? For the
No.
IEP process? You just
No.
want an overview, right? I just want to check. That's the thoughts.
Well, that's kind of where my thinking is, but Rick, you had your hand up?
Yeah, and I was just going to say that I pretty much agree with Danielle's description of it, that you know, when a child is put on an IEP, I think what the board, well, speaking for myself, what would really help me to know is just what does that process look like from the first identification that the process needs to be initiated, through the process, who's involved, how do the parents have their input, how do the teachers have their input, how are the services identified, and then how are they delivered. But the level of detail that I'm thinking about is such that it should be able to be handled in like between an hour to 2 hours, that sort of thing. Not all day or even half day. But you know, that was my understanding of what it was we were seeking to achieve. And other people may have a different understanding.
Cynthia, you have your hand up?
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here for that, but I wanted to mention that maybe it might be of interest if a little bit of discussion could take place around how having students receive an IEP also aligns with our idea of providing equity in education. I think that might be, as a trustee, a good piece of information to have to be able to talk to parents about. I'm not sure what that would look like, or if it's even something that, if those two things relate to one another, but it was just a thought that I had.
Go ahead, Rick.
Just in response to that, from Cynthia, I think it relates perfectly. I'd be surprised if it wasn't covered in such a presentation. I mean, the provision of an IEP is one of the main tools that we try to assure equity or enhance equity. It provides a service to a child who needs some extra support in order to achieve the equal opportunities that we seek to provide for all students. So I think almost by definition, it would have to be there.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Celeste, go ahead.
The only thing that I would add to that then is that some might struggle to even have IEPs in place. So if the discussion could include what happens to those people, that would be very interesting.
Okay, fair enough.
You've got at least two people on the call who are former learning services directors and resource teachers, and this is our bread and butter and our passion. So I know Phil do a great job, and ask away at the session for sure, and we'll probably all want to chime in. I'll have to sit on my hands. So looking forward to this. Thanks, folks, for the clarification.
Awesome. Cynthia?
I don't want to make things more difficult for anyone, but if it's possible to record it, I would really appreciate it. If you could, and then I'll watch it. I'm off to Austria still, unbelievably so, with my daughter for this World Championship skiing thing. So once in a lifetime opportunity for her. Well, we have to go, but I would really love to hear what everyone has to say. So if it's possible, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Celeste.
If it's possible, just to add to that, Danielle, I know that Phil has recently, or I don't know if the survey is conducted yet, but if the results of that survey could be shared through the education session, that would be really helpful as well.
Okay, just a couple more quick questions. Sorry, Rebecca. So we originally had scheduled kind of like, we had 3 topics for that one day. And so we had IEP, inclusion, and experiential learning. So are we just doing that one, just the IEP then, and scrapping the other 2, or moving them to another year? Or?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in. I don't think it's about scrapping. I think that I wonder if experiential learning might have been left over from before. I feel inclusion
It's not.
is something we can investigate, but I wouldn't ask at this time. I just want to be respectful of staff and the COVID planning and all of that. I really would ask Grace, and a 1 to 2 hour will be plenty. There's lots of work Phil's doing right now, especially as we prepare for kids who might need supervision if we go to functional closure, as well as online support. So
Yeah.
Respectfully, maybe just do the one session on the 26th, please.
So just on the IEP process? Okay, I think that's a fair enough request, but let's not lose the other 2.
Okay, so maybe we can see, we'll take that back and see if we can fill it in somewhere else later at a later date.
Yeah, no, sounds good. And also, can we get a calendar invite sent out as soon as possible? Because it's not showing up on mine.
Oh, okay.
So maybe, I don't know, I missed it somehow, but it usually shows up somehow. Rick?
Yet, to Chris's point about, the fact that staff are, let's make it an understatement, extremely busy these days and challenged with pivoting to the new COVID situation. In my view, things like that ed session are going to be interesting, and I want them to happen But if we're dealing with crises like functional closures of schools and that sort of thing, in my opinion, the board should convey to staff that we can be very flexible on not only this one, but on other meetings that are that are eventually going to be important, but that are non-essential in the short term, with the idea that perhaps one of the ways, sorry, I got a phone ringing in the background. One of the ways we can get out of one of the ways we can help our staff is simply by getting out of the way and letting them do their work. So I would want staff to know that if they want to say, look, we just don't think we can do that when it was scheduled because we're too busy doing this other stuff, then I would really like to respect that. Thanks.
I think in response to that, I totally agree with you, Rick. And I think that we have a pretty good working relationship, and staff is quite upfront when need to be. So I think for the rest of the board to understand that there's a potential that, this could get bumped because of emergent needs, and for staff to they know that, we understand and support. So if that happens.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca.
Okay, we're running overdue, but it's in camera next, so we can continue with this agenda. Any other questions or comments on the ed session? Okay, hearing none, then we have the BCSTA motion submission deadlines. Danielle?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
very
very quick. Sure, I can do it quick. So we had a deadline last week for the BCSTA Provincial Council for any motions. So that's already passed, and Archie had emailed everybody about that. And then there's 2 more deadlines coming up in related to the annual general meeting for extraordinary and substantive motions, or in related to those AGMs. So I'm assuming we haven't heard anything. Did anyone have any motions that they wanted to make for those AGMs? Okay, that's all. That's it then. So thank you.
Okay, I don't see any hands up for a question or comment on that. We don't have any action items. Any questions of clarification from the public come in?
None so far.
Okay, then I determine that we have completed the business of this agenda, and we'll adjourn, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes at our in-camera session.
Can we take 5 minutes time to visit the bathroom or make a cup of tea or something?
Sure, we're at 3:21, so why don't we just come back at 3:30?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, see you.